Right.
And then we wrote down schools that we know we would get accepted into.
Exactly.
And then after some of us took the like ISEE and the like other tests and stuff, that like moved up our chances of like getting into like the school that we wanted to versus like the school that we know we can't get into.
Exactly. And like you don't say no, you won't, because like sometimes they will, you know, sometimes they'll surprise you. Both ways though. That's why you have the safety schools as well. But the application fee, you can get application fees waived. Don't let anybody fool you. I was told that I couldn't get my application fees waived, and I did not accept no for an answer. Like, I mean, yeah, I didn't accept no for an answer. I was like, there's no, like, I'm not paying for this. This is ridiculous, you know? Because I'm gonna have to pay once I get into school like $1,000. So why would I pay like hundreds of dollars just to submit applications?
How do you get application fees waived?
Exactly. Oh my God. So the advisors will actually, if you go to your advisor and you tell them, I need my fee waived, they actually have the, yeah, they have a checklist and they can actually go in and they can waive fees for you. So you just go to your advisor, go back again and again until they say yes, we'll waive your fees, and they can waive the fees for your application so you don't have to pay for them. Yeah.
Oh, real
You can
quick.
answer the next question.
Yeah, just go.
So when you're applying to college, do you think it's like better to go like with a safety school, or do you think it's better to like actually try to get into a school even though it's like there's a slim chance of you getting in? You know what I mean? Like, is it better to try and pursue that, but like not? Okay, so you should always have a backup plan. I know that for like college with a safety school, but like I'm saying, like, how do you think you would go about it if like you were like you have to reapply and you had a safety school, but you also had this one school that's not far out of reach, but it's like you can't get to it as you would a safety school?
I had that same problem, and I think sometimes it comes down to money, like financial aid, and other times it comes down to preference. For example, like I got into schools in England, but I also got into Suffolk University, and it came down to, do I want to stay, you know, and have that as my safety school and stay in Boston, or pursue that, or should I reach and pursue my dream of going into England, you know? But for your answer your question, sometimes it's okay to go for your reach school, to like aim for that, because you know, never limit yourself in what you can do. But definitely, if you think that your safety school and you're okay with that, and you think you can thrive at that school, definitely go for it. But always remember, and like I always tell my friends this, and like I've learned this, you can transfer to different schools. Like if I went to Suffolk and I did my credits for one semester or a year, and you know I'm not happy at that school and whatever, I can still transfer to Howard and have my credits, you know, replaced and all that stuff. So yeah, never limit yourself.
And I think like I left the question on here not because I wanted to answer, but because I want it to be a question that you ask yourself. But it's, are you happy being a student at the college that you're at? That's a really important question, just because I know a lot of people that went to schools that they were able to afford, but they weren't happy at, and those people often drop out because they don't. It's like it can be an isolating feeling to feel like you don't really want to be where you are, and you're also alone, and you're doing like a bigger course load. So you have to think about if you're going to be happy where you're going as well, because it is a decision that will last for a few years.
For both of you, I guess, what school options did you have, and if so, like, what made you pick the college that you are going to now? Like, out of the options that you had, which school, like, what was like a dead giveaway on this school, or was it more of like a simple thing of, like, it wasn't like something dead, it was just like, you know, this just seems better for me. Like, what was that thing for you that made you go to the school you're going to now?
Yeah, well, I mean, I knew I wanted to go to HBCU. I didn't go to school in Boston. I actually went to school in Concord, Massachusetts. I did it through the MECO program. So I was a minority all the time, you know, and being in that type of environment, I didn't realize how uncomfortable I was until I was a senior in high school, and it was after the election though too. So after the election, I started to see people's true colors, and I didn't really feel comfortable in my own skin, and that's when I felt like that was a problem. I was like, how am I able to go into a world and be who I want to be a strong Black woman, go into engineering, and I don't even know anything about what it is to be a Black woman in America. So that's why I was like, I'm going to an HBCU. I always knew I was going to an HBCU once I started applying to colleges. Howard wasn't always my first choice though, which is interesting. I thought I was going to go to Spelman at first, and I ended up picking Howard. And if I had to go back and pick again, it'd be Howard. So I think I'm very happy where I am, and I have learned a lot about myself as a Black woman, and I feel very comfortable in my skin, and I'm very comfortable being the minority now because I'm always surrounded by other Black excellence, and I don't know, I'm constantly reminded that I am amazing as an individual and that my fellow classmates are amazing as well. So
That was deep. Kind of the same. I went to a prep school in Boston, and I was the only Black person in my grade. Kind of proud of that because I survived. Kind of same kind of thing. But they kind of used me as that token Black all the time. Like all the pictures you ever saw, like when they sent the flyers or whatever. Like I was always that token Black, and that kind of made me upset. And I kind of wanted to reach beyond that and not be that token Black anymore and kind of be myself. So I applied to 10 schools, 5 here and 5 in the UK. And I was waitlisted for Syracuse, and I got into Suffolk. And I was like, all right, well, Syracuse is a really diverse school. Like that's really amazing. Like thank you for at least giving me a chance. And then Suffolk, I really had to think about, do I want to stay in the city? Because Boston's home, 617, all that. But did I really want to stay in my bubble, or did I want to reach for the stars and do what I always wanted to do? So I got into 2 universities in England, which is University of Westminster and University of Kent. And I went to both open houses, and I had a tour and all that stuff. And I had my heart set on University of Westminster, and did not work out due to, I did IB, if you know what IB is.
What is IB?
So IB is an international baccalaureate. So think of AP and times that by 5. And it's recognized by all European schools as well as different universities within America. And I was supposed to reach a certain score for my tests, and I did not reach that, unfortunately. But every disappointment is a blessing in disguise. And I contacted the University of Kent, and they were like, hey, we see that you've made an effort. We see that you're an amazing student. All my recommendations came through, and they were very proud of me, you could say. And they gladly opened their doors, and they gave me accommodation right there, and they gave me, my acceptance letter right then and there. And I had my interview, and it was a welcoming environment. So I just knew that University of Kent was for me, even though it wasn't my first choice, but it was definitely epiphany I had.
What about, you just mentioned your referral letter, your recommendation letter. What is that, and how do you get it?
So recommendation letter, I know for the US you have to have your math teacher, your English teacher, and a teacher of preference when you're applying for college, especially for if you're going to high school as well. And I had my math teacher. I can say proudly that I do not like math. And, my math teacher, he was like, you're a great person. I know you don't like math. You're trying your best. That's all that matters. So he wrote that recommendation for me. I love English, journalism major, so they gladly wrote that for me. And I had a teacher who kind of knew me on a personal level, and I was able to talk to them and sit down with them. And I had that person write that recommendation for me. Those recommendations do help you. I feel like they do read them. What's it called? Admissions offices. There we go. They do read them. They read everything that you've submitted and everything. So I think when you have those teachers and you're able to sit down with them and have that level with them, they could be a make or break. So.
Yeah, I think people often underestimate the power of a college essay and the power of recommendations, because at the end of the day, like, you can always look at somebody's GPA and you're like, okay, that's good.
Yep.
But then that's it. You know, they're not actually a person until they read your college essay or they look at your recommendations, because that's how they figure out, like, is this person going to thrive in my school? Is this person going to thrive after school? So they're always looking about ways to expand their school, you know, their college campus and life after college for them, and the legacy that their students leave. So if they see that someone has power, ambition, and, you know, all the things that you would essentially put into your college essay or somebody would write about in your recommendation, you know, that's a check on their list. So you can that's why I think, like, it's really important to apply to reach schools, because if you are a good person, which I know you guys are because you guys are here right now, if you are a good person, yeah, like, if you are a good person, your teachers know this, and the admission officers will also know the same thing. Yeah. You guys will know at the same time.
Yeah, literally.
You go first, yeah.
What is something that you dislike about your school?
Financially. The financial aid office is terrible. That's all HBCU stuff. And that's just one of the struggles that you have to deal with. I feel like, you know, what college will teach you is persistence and patience and all your patience. You know, every last inch of your patience, like, because it's teaching you to be in the real world. Because in the real world, nothing's handed. So if you're not willing to fight for your financial, you're not willing to fight for, you know, your scholarships and stuff, then why does someone want to keep giving it to you? So I personally think they do it on purpose. I think they do it on purpose to see who's really going to fight for it, because in the real world, things are tough. Things are tough. You're going to have to fight for what you want, and that's okay. And there are always going to be things you don't like about your school, but that doesn't mean your school is bad. It just means that, you know, that your school has flaws just like every other school. And don't think that just because HBCUs have flaws that they're not, you know, equally as competitive with PWIs. So just thought that.
And what is a PWI?
A predominantly white institution, which is like Harvard or Yale or stuff like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
What do I dislike about my school? I think location. Even though it's in Canterbury. I know you guys don't know what Canterbury is, but it's an hour and 20 minutes away from the city of London. And think of like Amherst. You know how Amherst is like secluded, has its own little like college town. It's kind of like that. And like the closest bowling alley is like, you know, like 25 miles away from my campus. So like there's only so much you can do on campus, and even though you can take a even though you have like you can take buses and trains and all that stuff, you know, there's only so much you can do within your range.
So let's say I wanted to major in like social justice, which I do. That'd be cool. Okay, so like social justice, and let's say there was this one school that it had like good financial aid for like, you know, my situation, and it accepted, you know, my, you know, letters and my recommendations and all this, but it didn't have a social justice, like, you know, major.
Yeah.
So how would, like, if you were in a situation where you wanted to major in something, but the school is perfect except it didn't have that major, how would you go about the situation?
The first thing that came to mind is that if you go to that university or college, I'm always going to say university because that's what they say in England. So if you go to that university, first thing that came to mind is do your one-on-ones first. So if you have to take like math or your English classes, or like if you have to finish like a bio credit or something like that, I would say do your one-on-ones first, and then see if you can create a major at your university, because some universities will let you do that, and you can contact like professors, anyone who's able to build that major with you. But yeah, I think that's like, it's a good question actually.
Yeah, I think I couldn't imagine not doing engineering, because I actually started school off as a bio-pre-med major, and I switched my first semester into engineering, and it was like one of the best decisions I ever made. I think that it really just depends on who you are and what you want to do after college, not even what your major, what you want your major to be. Because with social justice, it's pretty cool because you can do multiple things with that. You can do political science, and usually like every college has political science. If they don't, that's kind of weird. But like you can do like political science, and then if you were thinking about going into law, you can do stuff like that, and you can actually like, I don't know, do like internships during the summer that like cater to what you want to do after school, and you can pursue your major in that way. So yeah, I think you should be fine. Yeah, finding your major.
That's a good question.
Yeah, you guys do.
I'm like taken aback.
I think you have a question?
How has college been life changing for you? Like what changes, like what things have college taught you and stuff like revolving around that, I guess?
Well, I guess my experience would be different from yours because I'm overseas.
That's good though.
It's true. It's true. So my mom's British, so I have a British passport, so I was able to go to England without like visas and all that stuff. So going to school in a different country, you could say, I think it's changed me a lot because I've opened my eyes more. I've always been an open-minded person, and you know I've been to a private school and all that stuff. But I feel like it's opened my eyes and it's made me a more worldly person. Just because I go to school and within my program, I've had different people from Canada, people from Kenya, Gambia, so many different places. And I think when you're learning cultures and when you're learning about people and where they've come from, and like what they've done with their life before they got there, I think it makes you a different person and you open your eyes more. Because obviously, you know, living in Boston, we have only so much diversity and within Massachusetts itself. But going to a different country and different like town and traveling by myself for the first time and like living by myself on a college campus for the first time, it does change you. It changes who you are. It builds your maturity, builds your character, and it kind of makes you grow up pretty quick.
I think for me, it made me, I don't know, it just made me smarter. I don't know how to explain that. Like, you know, like I just, you know, I feel like I'm in college because I want to learn, and it makes me smarter in that way. Then also makes me smarter as in being like vigilant, because I'm away from home. So I have to understand my surroundings and just be aware of like everything that's going on. And that's in school and out of school. So in school, you know, like with my teachers and stuff, I need to be going to office hours. I don't know if you know what office hours are yet, but yeah, exactly. So, you know, just like doing the one-on-ones with your teachers, just to know
What are office hours?
So office hours are like when you have those one-on-ones with your teachers and you can sit down and talk to them about homework, about tests, anything, any questions you might have. Office hours are the key to getting your A in college. I promise you. I'm not going to promise an A, but I'm going to promise an A or a B if you are doing your work and going to office hours, because there are going to be, depending on what type of school you go, if you go to big school or small school, like there are going to be a lot of people in your classes like the first 1 to 2 years of college, and your teachers aren't going to know who you are. They're just not. So when they're grading your test, it's like they don't really care. Like if you missed even just a little piece of it, they're like, okay, all the points off. But if you're showing up consistently in the office hours and these people know your name, then it's going to be a lot different when they're grading your test. They're like, oh no, they came to our office, they knew what this was, they just messed up. Then you'll like have a better chance of doing better in their class. So I really encourage you guys to do that. But that's just like what I mean by smarter. Like I learned that, you know, if you really want something, you need to go get it. You need to make time to meet with the teachers and know what's going on around you. Made me more confident. I'm in the marching band, so I perform. I come up here and I talk very confidently, but sometimes like public speaking can be hard for me, but it's easier now because I put myself in positions where I have to be uncomfortable sometimes. Because performing in front of hundreds of people at my school, it can be nerve-wracking, but I still do it every single Saturday, you know? And it gave me discipline because, you know, I have practice every single day of the week. Gotta get my homework done somewhere, so I have discipline. I mean, I've gained so many skills throughout college, it's impossible for me to list them all, and I'm sure you can say the same. But you just become a much better version of yourself as long as you're happy and doing what you really want to be doing.
So, like, for example, in my school, it's mostly the teachers making the rules, and like the students don't really have a say in like what happens, even if they're the ones that are going there to learn. So my question is, like, because I'm a sophomore in high school, so, like, my question for you is, in your college, do you think that from, like, the time when you were in high school to now that things have changed, or do students, like, still have that, like, lack of independence, you know, in school?
That's a good question. So, at my university, this is our second year of having a black woman as a head of student union, and that's one thing. If you have a student union, like definitely like follow with them and see what they're doing, and they're definitely making a change. If you have a concern about bathrooms or anything of that sort, or even about a teacher or anything of any concern, and you let someone in like a student union or anyone in student government or anything of that anything like that, talk to them. They definitely have a say. One of the presidents suggests we no longer have plastic on our campus. We only have cans, tin and all that, paper and all that stuff. So there's definitely more of a maturity and more of a control by students, and more of a say, definitely.
Yeah. I have a question about your question. Do you mean, are you talking about like both high school and college, or in college?
So, like, from, like, when you were in high school, if you look back on it and then you think about your experience in college, would you say that the system has changed so that students have more of a voice compared to, like, when you were in high school?
I think that for me, students have always had a voice. It was just how mature were we to use our voice in the way that we wanted to, because I'm a homework committee, and I was able to help reduce the homework load for our school. It wasn't something that I came up with. It was something that my principal had come to me personally and was like, I know you're a big advocate. People. A lot of people talk to you. You think you can come in and start helping with this homework committee? And I was like, of course. Why wouldn't I? This is pretty cool. And I ended up doing that. And all I did was give my honest opinion about homework. And I was like, I go home, I'm doing homework for like 3 hours. I barely have time to like sleep, wake up in the morning. Like it's a lot. And by just me telling my story, I was able to make an impact on how much homework the teachers were giving out. And then in college, we have a lot of like strong-minded people who know what they want all the time. So it's like whatever, they're always going for the things that they want, and you can't stop them, and like that, I think that's the difference between high school and college. Like people just start to realize the things that they want, and they know what they deserve, and they'll fight a lot harder to get it. So I think that you always have a voice, essentially. Like, don't ever think that you don't have an opinion, or your opinion doesn't count. It definitely does, and I'm sure that somebody wants to hear it. So yeah.
What is your biggest,
Can I interject really quickly? Knowing the context of the question, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, kind of. So I was a prefect, kind of like the same way you were like the homework committee. I was a prefect, and I had many different people within the prefect houses and stuff like that. So it was hard to tell the admissions office like what we wanted, or if you wanted to change something. For example, we wanted, in the winter it's dull. Some people have seasonal depression, and high school is tough. Sometimes you have a lot of anxiety. Mental health is really important. And we wanted to have a games day where like even if it was like from lunch to like 3 o'clock, that we have like every room would have like a designated game. And our admissions office told us that this is a waste of time. Why would you want to do this? And they never really listened to us. So what we did, we had after school, so it was like 3 o'clock. We had a lot of people show up to our games day, and we had a lot of people talking to us about like how this helped them during the winter, and how this kind of built a community within the school. And what this showed is that even though we have the boss telling us no, we were still able to work with each other and do that. So I think that was important.
What was your question again? Sorry.
What were your biggest fears or concerns going into college?
I don't think I had any big fears or concerns because I was just excited for a new chapter in my life, and I think that a lot of times people want you to be scared going into school, but it's not something to be scared about. It's something to be very excited about, just because you get a chance to meet new people, do new things, and finally do what you've been preparing your whole life to do. Like, I don't know what's more liberating than that idea. But I was super excited, and I was really excited to get out of Boston. No offense to Boston, but there's a lot of people telling you that it's weird to be smart. I don't know if you've gotten that yet. Like, people kind of saying that, downplaying the fact that you do well in school, and that you care about school, and that you apply to college. So I think it's just really important to be excited for yourself, and just be proud of yourself, because a lot of times people look to other people to be proud of them instead of them being proud of themselves, and that's where they get lost. So just make sure that you're proud of yourself.
Did you answer?
Oh, I can answer. You want me to answer? I can answer. Okay. What is one of your fears of going to college? I think being alone was like a big thing. Obviously, we're in a big city, but you have your friends and you have a community with you. But obviously, being in a different country by myself, and I was forced to make friends, and I was forced to put myself out there, and that changes you as a person, and also changes your character. And I think that was a big fear, and I think that's everyone's big fear, is that you're kind of doubting yourself, like, oh, I'm not gonna make friends. Like, these people don't think I'm cool, and I think. It was pretty easy. Knocking on your neighbor's door, like in your dorm, and saying like, hey, like, do you want to go get dinner? Like, where are you from? And kind of just putting yourself out there to make yourself comfortable. But yeah, being alone was like a big fear.
What are your views on like the community and like the dorms and the professors and things?
I guess. So we have a dorm called Quad. That dorm was currently down last year. It's very old. I didn't live in Quad, but I'm going to tell you about Quad because Quad is the biggest freshman women's dorm at Howard. So it was actually disastrous because they have like communal bathrooms, and it was just like, it was very old. It was falling apart, and that's why they had to like renovate it last year. But I stayed in CHN, which was a new dorm. It was called College Hall North. It was actually very nice, but I had a triple. So I had roommates. I have never had roommates in my life, so this was very new to me. And you learn a lot about yourself when you're packed in like a little space with two other females, and sharing a bathroom, sharing chores ultimately too, because this is your own space. Your parents aren't there to clean up, cook for you. You need to like take care of your own space. So I think that the dorm is a place where you learn a lot about yourself as well. Do you want to know about like food too, like everything on campus, pretty much? So I really didn't like college food too much, but that's okay because my sophomore year I started cooking. I got a dorm where I had a kitchen, so I was able to just start cooking. I also sell plates sometimes, so like that's how I make like extra money, finding money. And the faculty, they're okay. If that's why I told you office hours are key to doing well in your course. So just make sure you are talking to your teachers, working with your teachers, and they'll work with you in return. And I love my campus life. Campus life is great. I'm sure you could say the same. Like, you meet so many people. There's so many people on your campus. There's so many different types of people. You'll always feel at home. Like, there's always gonna be somebody on the campus that's gonna relate to you. That's gonna be, have the same characteristics you have, and you'll be like, this is somebody I've been waiting my whole life for. So I think it's really cool that you can find those different groups on campus. There's also a lot of organizations and like clubs and sports on campus too that you can definitely be a part of. So I encourage you to do that because I am very involved in my campus, and that's how I have a lot of fun.
So first thing, dorms. So in England, I'm a voter for you. In England, we don't share rooms. Everyone has a singular room. So I have my own bathroom. I had my own room. But we all shared the kitchen. I know it's a lie.
Yeah.
And obviously, I had to clean my own room. I had to clean my own bathroom. We had cleaners, but like they came like every month, like once a month. So I had to vacuum my room, all that stuff. All the chores that you do at home, I had to do in my own room. And so that was fun. My dorm life is different because majority, I want to say 98% of the people on my floor were white. I know, and it was hard. It was hard to relate. They're all British. I mean, they all kind of looked at me kind of weird because, you know, black girl from Boston. Like, how did you get here? I don't know. And so that was kind of different. We all shared a kitchen, and that was hard because you learn how truly messy people can get. With plates and with not exactly, and with plates and not sweeping and like all that stuff and not mopping. So that was kind of hard. So that was dorm life. Dorm life was cool. I had a meal plan, so I didn't have to worry about cooking, and that was pretty useful. Campus life, it was hopping. It was hopping. Like honestly, the hangout place was the library. Like everyone went to the library to chill and like do their assignments and like kick back. Cause we all had like a section where it was like bean bags and like a relaxing area. And it was like called like the snooze area, so you could take a nap and like no one would bother you. So it was really chill and a good environment to if you wanted to study, if you wanted to focus on things. That was definitely like a good thing for me personally. In England, I don't recommend, drink responsibly, but you can drink at 18. So we had a club on campus and we had different clubs around the town. So a lot of people went clubbing and a lot of people went to the bar and went to the pub and just kind of sat back and relaxed. So that was kind of our campus.
Any questions? Did you have a question?
Yeah. So, what's some advice that you would give to like someone either applying? What's advice you would give to someone either applying to college or like a college freshman and they're like, you know, freshman?
Advice for what?
Like a freshman in college, just like in general.
Person that's a
Yeah.
Join clubs, but not until you know you can handle the workload. So I didn't start joining organizations or clubs on my campus until after freshman year. Because after freshman year, you'll see that a lot of people are gone from your school. I lost half my friend group. They joined social organizations on campus, couldn't keep up with the work, and had to go because their GPAs dropped too low. Make sure you can handle the workload before you join organizations, that's all. But when you can, join them and just go crazy with them because you'll meet the best people you've ever met. Like, I'm in NSBE, which is National Society of Black Engineers. I'm in IEEE, which is for electrical engineers, but I still like to know what they do because they do Techno Tuesdays, which they use like LED lights and make really cool robotic stuff. I help out with Nancy Junior. I'm in an engineering sorority called Phi Sigma Rho, and I'm in the marching band. And that's just like some of the things I do on campus. But I try to stay as involved as possible and do things that also, I don't know, like band is something that is very random to me. I don't act like I'm not going to grow up to be a dancer or grow up to do music or something. But band is something that keeps me active and it's something that's just fun. So finding something that's just fun for you is very important because you're always doing schoolwork when you're at school. So make sure you find something that just makes you happy and that you enjoy doing.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much second to second year clubs. I found that majority of the black population on my campus was mainly African, and I'm not African myself, so it's kind of hard to relate to them and kind of find to find, you know, I guess you could say crossroads with them. So I joined, what did I join? I joined the Caribbean Society, so I found like different people from the Caribbean, either they come straight from the island or they were British and Caribbean, so that we all had the different cultures coming together and like we all could relate to each other. So that was fun, and that kind of made me relax more because obviously I found my people and I was able to trust in them. But yeah, definitely clubs will help you. I think my second advice would be that you're not alone because everyone is going through the same thing that you're going through. Trust me, like the stress, the anxiety, the depression that you feel, everyone else is feeling, and I feel like you need to talk about it. Even if that's not your way of coping, I think sitting down with your friends and just talking about your struggles and what you're going through, that will definitely help because it's not easy, especially for your first year, but it'll get easier.
And it's not easy to anybody. If they tell you it's easy, they're lying to you because it's hard, you know, and that's just the honest truth, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. It's supposed to be hard, it's supposed to push you, but you guys, like, you'll be able to do it as long as you stay focused.
How is, you don't have to come to me. Turn it back around. Turn it back around. How is, two-part question. Do either one of you watch Grownish?
Yes.
What is the realistic version of Grownish? Like, they show like a lot of partying and a lot of fun and failing classes and academic probation and, you know, waking up late for classes and being offered all types of drugs. Like, what part of that show is actually realistic to what college?
All of it. All of it. It's not realistic to every person, but it's realistic on a scale to people. I personally am not involved in a bunch of drugs on campus, you know, like, but like I feel like I have slept late before, but it's not the end of the world as long as you go to the teacher and tell them, oh my gosh, I slept late. Is there any way I can get the notes? Blah blah blah. Can I go over this? Like I got the notes from somebody else. Can I go over this with you real quick? You know, it's stuff like that. You make up for the things that you miss all the time, even if it's like you're leaving for vacation early. Make sure you make up that day that you missed. You have to get the notes, you have to talk to your teacher, you have to make sure you understand and comprehend the information that was given that day. And I think that there are a lot of people that party a lot on campus. I realized in college that I'm actually not a big partier. I thought I liked to hang out a lot more than I did, but after I was like going to a few parties, I was like, this is actually not for me. I'm a little nerdy. I love going to Nesby Junior. I watch the kids do robotics. One of the kids that was actually Nesby Junior, 14 years old, he's going to George Washington University in the fall. 14 years old, going to college, because he did Nesby Junior. And like seeing those things and like working with those kids is something that makes me happy and it's something that I enjoy. And I just realized like, you know, partying wasn't for me. So what I want to say about Grownish is that everything is real. Everything that they have in that movie happens to certain people, but it's not going to happen. All those things are not going to happen to one person. Just a variety of people.
I think the one unrealistic thing, or one of the many unrealistic things in Grownish is that not everyone wears Louis Vuitton and Gucci and, you know, all that stuff. I still wear H&M. You know, I'm cool with that. Forever 21. I'm alright with that. I don't need
3 years ago.
Yeah, it's like or clothes, you know, that you thrifted. That's cool. Everyone's style is different. You know, flaunt your stuff. If you want to wear clothes that look baggy and all that stuff, that's all you. You know, like don't try to be impressed. Try to impress everyone on campus. Because trust me, the guy that you just walked by on campus, you're not gonna see him again. You're most likely not gonna see him again, and he most likely didn't even see you. So honestly, the clothes and high fashion and all that stuff, it's very unrealistic. The drugs, it's very realistic. In my household, I'm not, you know, I've never seen drugs and like that and all that stuff. But like going to college and seeing people partake in activities such as doing drugs and drinking.
And I mean real drugs, not like weed.
Oh no, real drugs. Real drugs like Percocet, Molly, all that stuff. Yeah, like I've seen people do that and it's you see people on a different level, definitely.
Yeah. Just just don't do it. Don't do it because it's never worth it. It's never worth it. I mean, like, I don't know any, like, personally, I don't have any friends that, like, do anything strong, but, like, I know that there are people on my campus who have been involved with stuff like that. They don't last long in school. Like, they just don't. And, it just, I'm not even worried about you guys partaking in it. I'm just, like, just be mindful of the things that are going around you because, like, peer pressure is real. And people can make you feel bad, but, like, don't ever feel bad about standing your ground. Like, if you're really confident about yourself and you're like, this is not what I want to do, this is not me, then you tell someone that's not you, and they have to respect that, because if that's really your friend, like, they'll respect that and they'll respect you, and if not, leave. I mean, I've left many parties before, like, because I felt uncomfortable, or, you know, it's different situations, just leaving because I'm like, you know, it's not comfortable for me, and that's cool though. But I think what you brought up a really good point, which is not everybody's wearing, you know, Louis Vuitton bags and all it, like, you know, not everything's all lavish, because I've had one of my really good friends not have housing before. You will see homeless people will be homeless, and you wouldn't, like, you could never know. You only know unless someone tells you. So make sure you know, like, if you're ever in that situation, God forbid, that you reach out to somebody. Don't ever go through that stuff alone. People lose meal plans, people lose housing, like, and sometimes it's just an accident, you know, and, like, you just need a place to stay for a good, like, week, and then they have it all together again. But it's like, some people just feel, they have so much pride that they forget to go to somebody and be like, you know, I really don't have any place to stay right now. Is there any way I can stay with you for a week? Like, because I've let people stay with me before just because they don't have anywhere to stay. So just be mindful of that, and that's it happens. So yeah, I don't know if you want to, like, piggyback off that.
I haven't encountered that, so
Yeah.
you know, I definitely, but yeah, be mindful of who you have around you, who your friends are, and you know, like you said, the peer pressure. If someone's telling you, "Oh, you're whack for that," be whack for that. That's cool. Yeah.
There we go. The second part of that question was about homework. And how does homework as a high school student versus homework as a college student, what are the comparisons between the two?
I no longer have to stay up till like 3 a.m. to finish an assignment. Because procrastination was one of my worst enemies during high school. Still, you know, honestly, you know, it kind of etches at me a little bit, but, like, you know, I know better now. You know, not waiting till the last minute to write an assignment, and kind of just knowing, all right, so I have an assignment due next Friday. I need to get 3 paragraphs done by this weekend. If I'm not going out this weekend. Like, having that self-discipline and that drive to finish and do your assignments, I think that's important. High school, I was doing classes that I didn't enjoy. Like I said, I didn't like math. I did well. I did okay in bio. I did okay in environmental sciences. I did well in English. But you know, you have those classes where you're like, I know I don't enjoy this. The teacher maybe doesn't like me, or you know, you have those thoughts. So I think definitely you're able to thrive more in college with work and stuff. And then when it comes to high school, you kind of have like 7 assignments to do, or you have like 3 assignments for each class, or anything like that. So
I think in college, homework is on you. If you don't do your homework, you don't get the grade. You know, like, you literally will get a 0, and that could be a difference from A to B, B to C, C to D. So teachers are not gonna be on your back about homework. You just have to do it yourself, and it's usually not a lot. So just get it done. You know. So I think that's like the best part. You know, you were saying, like, you know, you don't have that much homework, and you know, if you don't do it, that's just on you. So it's just about being responsible in college, and that's, you know, that's why we have these handy dandy planners. I just want to bring these out really quickly. This will be your best friend with homework, because you'll have a lot of classes just to keep track of homework. So as long as you write down your homework, check your planner off, and do that, then you should be good, and it can really boost your grade up. So I strongly recommend doing your homework.
What are some, like, I guess you could say, some reliefs that you had once you actually went into college based off like myths that you heard or have seen like on TV?
Yeah, I don't think I went into college so like with an open mind. Like I don't even think I had any like anything that I was scared of or anything that I heard and I was like, I wonder if it's gonna be like this. It was just like I was like, I'm going to Howard University. Like I'm so happy. I'm so proud of myself, and I'm like, you know, to be a kid from Dorchester and going to a school like Howard University, like I'm just so blessed right now. So that was all I could really think about going to college. And I guess like I don't know, like I don't think you should go into school with these thoughts, any thoughts. Just go into school with an open mind and realizing that the world is yours, and just go for whatever you can.
Yeah, but for me, going into college, like I said in the beginning, like I thought I was just gonna be sitting in my room bored, not knowing what to do, what's the next step, you know, making friends and all that stuff. And like I said, broadening your horizons and making friends helps a lot. Yeah, that's kind of yeah.
How many majors can you possibly take at once?
So for me, that's different. I'm only in one program for journalism, so I only do journalism classes. So I do, you know, like writing classes and stuff like that. So I only base off of journalism.
Yeah, at my school you can double major. Some people do a major and like 2 minors, but that's the most that I've heard of. I know that for engineers, we're not allowed to have minors because I do mechanical engineering, so I'm not allowed to have any minors, but technically I can be a math minor, and it would be recognized by other people but not by my school. So like it's a school by school basis, like how many majors you can do, but usually if they correlate you can do like minors and majors or double majors. So.
What was something that really excited you about going to college?
Being on my own. Sorry, Mom. But like, yeah, being on my own, definitely being able to rely on myself. You know, getting up in the morning and following my alarm and going to breakfast on time and being my own person. I think that was like one of the most exciting things for me.
I think one of the most exciting things for me was a fresh start. I had really gotten comfortable in Boston. I had a lot of really good connections. I had done a lot here. I had like started a nonprofit, you know, got a lot of support for that. But I felt like comfortable was getting a little scary because I was like, if I'm comfortable, am I really pushing myself? So leaving gave me a fresh start and gave me a chance to start over and be uncomfortable again. And I think that's been like the best part about being away for college. Any other questions?
What do you have to do on weekends?
In the fall semester, I am in band. I'm in the marching band. I don't have a weekend. So on Saturdays, I have performances. Every single Saturday, I have performances. Sunday is my only day off, but I usually go to church. I go to church. It's called Ebenezer. It's actually the only church that I've like consistently gone to. I started going to church religiously when I started going to school, which usually happens to be people at Howard because a lot of the school is actually Christian or like Baptist, and so it's been. I love it. I finally joined the church officially on Easter, this Easter, which was really nice. But I usually go to church. They have a shuttle that picks us up at the school, takes us to the church. So my weekend is really non-existent during the fall semester. But during the spring semester, I just like to hang out with my friends, chill, talk. If I can, we'll go. Well, sometimes we have to do community service because for my sorority we have to do like community service. But I just try to like catch up with my friends that I don't usually see because sometimes I'm just nowhere to be found because I'm just in the books in the library. But on the weekends, it's my only time to really like go to see my friends and hang out with my friends and just chill with them.
Yeah, pretty much anything that you can do like in Boston, like on the weekends, you can do in college, like go to the mall or just kind of chilling around, or like, you know, take the bus anywhere, you know, just kind of end up somewhere and just kind of chilling with your friends. You know? Honestly, like I think that's the one thing about college, that you have free time. Even if you're dedicated to your studies and to your academics, you have a lot of free time. And it's up to you whether you want to use that free time and relax and kind of get your mind straight, or you want to focus on your academics and be very straight-minded. So yeah, definitely just relaxing.
So, is there like, if we were to go back and like, how do you put it? Like, fill yourself in on one thing about college before you went, what would that one thing be?
Talk to my advisor more. I think that one of the, I don't know, like you go through school, but you don't really know, like just be mindful of your scheme. Know what classes you need to take, when you need to take them in order to graduate on time, because you'd be surprised when people don't graduate on time. Just because like they missed this one thing, or you know, like this, just like knowing, I just wish I like manage my schedule more, because you don't want to be like cramming stuff into your schedule as you get close to your senior year. So I think that that's one thing that I would like say in my ear before going to school.
I think my one thing, if I knew before going to college, it's okay to have flaws. Being perfect is not always ideal. And you know, I have anxiety and I accept that, and that's okay. And you know, working with myself and working with other people, whether it be a counselor or anything of that sort, and kind of talking to them and being able to be open about that, I think like that's helped me, and I hope hopefully helps other people who are also going through the same things. So yeah, being mindful of my mental health and being okay with my flaws, I think that I wish I knew that before college.
Any questions?
Scholarships. Anari asked if college was free.
Oh, absolutely not. I wish it was. Actually, it is in Germany. If you live in Germany, but we don't live in Germany, so that's unfortunate. So college is not free, but there is a FAFSA. I'm pretty sure, like, I don't, everybody pronounces it differently because it's really not spelled like FAFSA, but you know, we call it FAFSA anyway. So just fill it out. It's federal aid. So they can distribute you money, like depending on, you know, annual contribution, and they usually provide, they help your school provide you scholarship, and they also provide you scholarship on top of that, which is really helpful. But sometimes they won't. So that's why it's really good to like just make sure you're in contact with your school, because sometimes your high school will have scholarships for you that you'll be able to apply to, and they will give those to you annually. I know that my school provided me with a scholarship, and you can just, all you do is reapply every year, and they'll give it back to you every year as long as you reapply. I went to a camp. They also give me scholarships, so sometimes you can talk to your camp. Sometimes they'll do it, like the Boys and Girls Club. I do a camp barbecue, but sometimes the Boys and Girls Club will do scholarships. And then, I mean, like one thing I do routinely is like every now and then try to apply to a new scholarship. You never know, like if someone's gonna get back to you, and majority of the time they won't, which is just the sad truth. But like if you are say you're applying to one scholarship every week, out of a year somebody has to respond. So just as long as you stay persistent in applying for scholarships, you should always be receiving some type of scholarship. But don't be discouraged if scholarships are hard to come by, hard to receive. And then, you know, sometimes your colleges will also have scholarships that they have on websites, on their like school website that you can apply to. So just be mindful of that.
Yeah, I can't really relate because I go to school in England. Not a lot of, majority of scholarships based within the United States do not apply to students who go abroad. So if you do want to go abroad or think about going abroad, definitely look at the school that you're applying to or schools that you're applying to and see what they can offer for you. Definitely if a scholarship that just applies to like you as a student and they're giving you the check, definitely apply for those ones. Those ones help as well. Scholarships and financial aid in general, if you have like work study or anything like that, those definitely help. So if you have time, if you have time.
What are some struggles college has helped you overcome? And if you can't think of any at the moment, what are some struggles that you are having or that you had while in college?
I mean, I think I already talked about like it made me more confident in myself. It pushed me to like be comfortable being uncomfortable, which is really important just like in life in general. I think that being around so many like people that look like me and are motivated and have done so much at such a young age has pushed me to do a lot more with my life. Like I'm doing 2 internships right now, by the way. 2 internships and taking a summer class. Probably wouldn't have done that if I wasn't surrounded by the people that I am, because I'm just like, I wanna be at the same level as the other people in my school, which I am because I made it into the same school as them. But I want people to look at me and be like, wow, like look at everything she's done. So it just pushed me to like be better and just push myself harder. Not push myself too hard, but like know what I can and can't handle, and just making sure that I'm always expanding my experience, and just continue to surround myself with people that push me that way, because it feels really good when you have people that push you in that way. So yeah.
Yes. So I think as I continue to talk, you can tell that like I'm like a very mental health advocate, and I think that was kind of remind me of your question. Like the struggles, right?
Yeah.
Difficulties, right? I have a lot of self-doubt, and that's from depression. That's from anxiety. And even though I have people and my friends tell me, you can do this, like you've been doing this, like continue to strive. I always have that person on my shoulder, like like I don't think that's gonna happen, or and I think that was one struggle that I had, and I think as I continue to make friends and I have close people and I have my parents and I have all that stuff, that helps as you continue college, as you continue high school as well, because when you have your support group and your support system, that those people and that positive attitude helps you build. So.
Any other questions?
/miss in college that you guys have?
There's so much. I think, okay, at Howard, we have the yard. We call it the Mecca. I don't know if you guys saw the news. We had a really big problem with, you read about this? Yeah, so we had a problem with white people coming on our campus and walking their dogs on the grass. We don't walk in the grass on our yard. It's our roots. So we have trees. I don't know if you've seen a picture of the Howard yard, but we have trees of all the Divine Nine sororities and fraternities, and their roots are our roots. So our yard is very sacred to us, and it's something, it means a lot to the school. It's the Mecca. But people, walking their dogs, when the dogs pee on the trees, letting the dogs poop in the grass, and we as students we don't even walk on the grass. So that's one of the traditions we have. You walk on the grass, it's not pretty. The only reason you should be walking on the grass is if you're a freshman and you don't know any better, because the only reason you guys know about the yard now is because I'm telling you right now. But you know, you come on campus, you don't really know like that you can't walk in the grass. So you like, why is someone walking in a big old, you know, a big old L? Like they can't just walk up through the grass. No, let me teach you should be on the grass if you know they're doing a movie premiere on the yard, or they're doing yoga on the yard, or if you walk into the flagpole, which is like in the center. But other than that, you don't walk in the grass because it's sacred. So that's one of the traditions that we have that I can think of right now.
One of our traditions is that we have all the varsity teams, whether it's within the town from different colleges or universities, come together and they have like a huge playoff rally and all that stuff. So you know, you go and you support your team and everyone's in their colors and blue and red and so I think that's like one of our traditions. But you know, it's only been my first year, so I'll be more involved.
I think another tradition we have for the band is after the homecoming game, we do a tunnel. And after I'll explain the tunnel in a second. And after the last basketball game, because we do basketball season as well, but it's not as like brutal. But at the last basketball game, we also do a tunnel. And the tunnel is where the drum line creates like a pathway for all the band members, and every band group will go through, and the flags and dancers will go last. And
So it's like a Soul Train line?
Yes, exactly, and that's what we call it. And we do it at the end of every homecoming game and at the end of every last basketball game. And that's like a tradition that we have, and we all have like, and then sometimes people like who have graduated before us will come back and do the tunnel with us. And it's really cool during homecoming. It feels like it's bringing back great memories, but it's like, it's always great, it's a great time. Yeah, that's just some of the traditions that we have.
Do you enjoy going to college, university?
I love college. I think, you know, I want to be who I am right now if it wasn't for college. I'm not going to say like I'm going to still be a great person because my parents raised me so well and they've always supported me, which has been one of the reasons why I've been able to enjoy college because my parents have been supporting me. But like I'm a lot more independent now and I'm a lot more sure of myself, and I feel like I have learned to have an original opinion. A lot of times you're growing up in a household with your parents and you know what they say is like, oh okay, yeah, I like that. But like now it's like, no, you have to come with your own opinion. Or you know, like, who do you want to vote for? You know, simple questions like that really pushes you to create your own identity, and creating your own identity is really important, and I think that's something that college has allowed me to do. And that's what I'm like really grateful for.
Okay, so if you didn't go to college or university, do you think you would have regretted it?
Absolutely. I think, no, I'm not saying everybody would, but I'm saying I would personally, because I enjoy learning. I enjoy being in a school atmosphere. So it's something that I love, and like being in the community that I am in, I love that. Like being surrounded by Black excellence, because not a lot of people in my school went to college. I can count, you know, how many people in my family went to college. So I think it was really important for me to get that experience. And I definitely feel like I would regret it because I still would have been in Boston, just doing whatever. So like I feel like I'm proud of the person that I am because I could have been a different person. But this is who I decided to be on my own, and I think that's something that's really important to me.